The trap at Orion's edge, the blackness of space stretched forever, silent and cold, but tonight it hid death. The human fleet drifted near Orion's edge, a cluster of dying stars wrapped in cosmic fog. From a distance it looked calm, like a painting frozen in time. But inside every human ship, tension burned like fire. Captain Arlen Voss stood at the bridge of the battleship Valor, his eyes fixed on the glowing map before him. The sensors were showing strange readings, echoes that didn't belong there. Ghost signals, blinking and vanishing again. "Are we sure it's just interference?" asked Commander Rhea, her voice tight. Arlen didn't answer right away. He had seen this kind of trick before, and it never ended well. The Council had sent them to patrol this region after the disappearance of 2 cargo convoys. But deep down, Arlen knew it was something else. The enemy, the Valnar Empire, was watching, waiting, testing. Outside, the stars flickered like dying candles. The ship's hull trembled as energy rippled through the void. "Something's out there," whispered the navigator. "Something big!" Suddenly, a burst of static tore through the comms. Then, silence. Every light on the deck dimmed, then glowed red. "Contact!" shouted Rhea. "Multiple ships incoming. Vector 271. On the holographic map, dozens of red icons appeared. Then hundreds. They were surrounded. The Valnar fleet had been waiting, cloaked in the nebula's mist. Their ships were sleek and silent, shaped like blades. Their weapons hummed with deadly blue energy. "They wanted us to come here," Arlen muttered. "This was never a rescue mission, it's a trap." Explosions flared across the dark. The first human cruiser, Horizon, was torn apart by a plasma beam. Fire bloomed in zero gravity, then vanished into sparks. "Return fire," Arlen commanded. His voice was calm, but his heart raced. Missiles streaked from human ships. Lasers lit the void. For a moment it looked like they might hold the line, but then something new appeared. A shadow emerged behind the Valnar fleet, massive and silent. It wasn't one ship. It was many, connected together like armor plates, forming a single superstructure, a fortress in space. "The Valnar dreadnought," Rhea breathed. "It's real." Rumors had spread for months that the enemy was building a weapon strong enough to erase whole fleets. Now it was here, rising from the fog like a monster from the deep. Arlen knew they couldn't win. Not like this. But retreat wasn't an option. The warp drive was jammed by the nebula's magnetic storms. "Captain," said Rhea. "Orders?" Arlen's eyes narrowed. He wasn't thinking of survival, he was thinking of revenge. "Tell all ships to form a ring formation," he said. "Draw them closer." Rhea stared. "You're setting a trap for them?" "Yes," Arlen said. "If humanity dies tonight, we'll make sure they bleed for it." As the human fleet regrouped, the Valnar advanced with confidence. Their communication lines buzzed with laughter and arrogance. They believed the humans were panicking, desperate. But deep within the Valor, engineers were arming something powerful, something forbidden. "The Nova Core," whispered Rhea, watching the energy meters spike. "That's unstable." Arlen nodded. "So are we." The Valor began to emit a low hum. A pulse rippled through the fleet. Synchronizing every ship's reactor, they were linking energy cores together, creating one massive charge. Outside, the Valnar dreadnought opened its weapon ports, charging a beam that could shatter moons. Arlen looked at the view screen. The enemy's light grew brighter, like a sunrise of doom. "Now," he whispered, the Valor fired, not a beam, not a missile, but a pulse wave. It raced across space, invisible at first. Then, every Valnar ship it touched began to flicker, their cloaking fields collapsing. The nebula lit up as their fleet became visible, exposed, vulnerable. "Hit them!" Arlen shouted. Every human ship fired at once. The darkness turned into fire, explosions blooming everywhere. Valnar vessels twisted and broke apart. But the dreadnought survived. Its shields glowed, rippling under the assault. Then came a deep, echoing voice across the comms, translated through static. "You think you've won, human?" Arlen stared at the screen, where the alien warlord appeared, a tall, obsidian figure with glowing red eyes. "This was only the beginning," the Valnar said. "You have awakened something far worse." Before Arlen could respond, the dreadnought released a massive energy pulse. Every system on the human fleet went dark. The stars themselves seemed to vanish, swallowed by black. The last thing Arlen heard was Rhea's voice, faint and fading. "Captain, the signal. It's coming from inside the nebula." Then everything went silent. The trap at Orion's edge had closed, but no one yet understood who had truly set it, the ghost signal. The silence after the explosion was worse than the battle itself. Every ship in the human fleet drifted lifeless, dark, and cold. The once burning engines were now dim ashes in the void. Static filled the comms, and the only light came from distant stars, blinking like dying candles. Captain Arlen Voss slowly opened his eyes. The bridge of the Valor was filled with smoke, loose wires sparked, and the air smelled of burnt metal. He pushed himself up, his head throbbing. "Status," he said, his voice weak but steady. No answer came, only the sound of broken systems and the slow hiss of escaping air. Then a voice crackled through the intercom, faint but familiar. "Captain, this is Commander Rhea." Engineering deck barely holding, half the crew unconscious. Arlen took a breath, relief mixing with fear. "Power down to 3%, sir. We've lost the reactor link, life support failing." Arlen looked at the dark window of space. In the distance, faint wreckage drifted, shattered pieces of the fleet, twisted metal glowing with faint blue fire. The Valnar ships were gone. No trace, not even debris. It made no sense. He turned to the navigator's station, half melted from an energy surge. On the cracked screen, a single message blinked again and again. "Signal detected." "Rhea," Arlen said, "are you seeing this?" She hesitated. "Yes, sir. But it's not a Valnar transmission." The words froze him. "Then what is it?" "It's human, sir, but not from us. The frequency is ancient, older than the fleet's founding." The sound came through, a whisper layered in static. It repeated the same phrase every few seconds. "They are not gone. They are waiting." Rhea's voice shook. "It's broadcasting from inside the nebula, right where the Valnar dreadnought appeared." Arlen frowned. "Patch it through to the main deck." The eerie signal filled the bridge, a cold voice echoing in the silence. Every crew member who was awake turned to listen. "What if," said Rhea quietly, "the Valnar weren't the ones who built that dreadnought?" Arlen didn't answer. His instincts screamed that she was right. He remembered the last words of the Valnar warlord. "You have awakened something far worse." Arlen steadied himself. "Get me partial power to the scanners. I want a reading of that nebula." "On it, sir." The lights flickered, and slowly the main screen came back to life. The nebula appeared, a massive swirl of dark gas and debris. Inside it, shapes moved, huge and slow, like shadows of titans turning in sleep. "Are those ships?" Rhea whispered. "No," Arlen said, his voice tight. "They're bigger." Then, one of the shadows blinked. Two golden lights appeared. Eyes. Watching, before anyone could react, the Valor's sensors screamed with new energy readings. The ghost signal grew louder, the voice distorting into a chorus of whispers. "You were not meant to find us. Leave, or be erased." Suddenly, the ship's systems came alive on their own, screens flashing, controls moving without command. "Rhea," Arlen shouted. "What's happening?" "The ship. It's responding to the signal." The Valor began to turn. engines glowing faintly blue, though no one touched them. The ghost signal was steering them straight toward the nebula. Outside, the last surviving human ships tried to follow, sending distress calls. But one by one, they vanished from the scanners, swallowed by the fog. Inside the Valor, Rhea tried to cut the power manually. Sparks flew as she yanked a control lever, but it didn't stop. "It's overriding everything, Captain. It's not letting go." Arlen slammed his fist against the console. "Whoever you are, stop this." The voice replied, now deeper, clearer. "You started the fire, human. Now you will see what you have awakened." A flash of light filled the bridge. The nebula ahead began to twist, like a storm forming. At its center, something massive emerged, metal but ancient. Its surface was covered with strange symbols, glowing like embers. "That's not Valnar tech," Rhea whispered. "It's older than any known design." Arlen's heart pounded. "Then this wasn't their trap," he said. "It was ours." The ship stopped moving, held in place by an invisible force. The ghost signal turned into a steady hum, almost like a heartbeat. And then, the screen flickered. A human face appeared, pale, emotionless, eyes glowing white. "Captain Arlen Voss," the voice said. "You carry the mark of those who forgot." Arlen froze. "Who are you?" The figure tilted its head. "We are the architects." The image faded, and the nebula erupted in light. Rhea shielded her eyes. The sound of energy pulsed through the ship. When it cleared, they were no longer near Orion's edge. The stars outside were unfamiliar. Arlen looked around in disbelief. "They moved us," Rhea whispered. "But where?" On the scanner, new signals appeared. Hundreds of them surrounding the Valor, all bearing the same design as the ancient ship. "They're waking up," Rhea said, her voice trembling. Arlen stared out into the void, realizing the truth. The Valnar had not been the real enemy. Humanity had just stepped into the territory of something far older, far smarter, and they were not happy to be found. The awakening of the architects. The Valor floated silently in the unknown void, surrounded by colossal machines that shimmered like ghosts of a forgotten age. Captain Arlen Voss stood at the bridge window, staring at the endless field of structures around them. Each one was the size of a small moon, glowing faintly with golden light. And each pulse of that light felt like a heartbeat deep and ancient. Commander Rhea worked frantically on the control panel, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. "We're not in known space anymore," she said quietly. "The stars. None of them match our maps." Arlen's jaw tightened. "Then we've been moved. Teleported, maybe." Rhea shook her head. "Not just moved, Captain. Relocated. The coordinates don't even exist in human records." The main screen flickered again, and the ghostly voice returned, soft and echoing. "You carry the scars of your ancestors. You repeat their mistakes." Arlen clenched his fists. "Show yourself." The voice obeyed, and a figure materialized in the middle of the bridge, a projection of light and dust. Shaped like a human, but far too perfect, its eyes white and empty. "I am the first of the architects," it said. "You should not have come here." Rhea stepped forward. "You attacked our fleet. You killed thousands." The being turned toward her, its expression calm. "No, Commander, your fleet was already dying. We only revealed the truth." Arlen frowned. "What truth?" The being paused. "That your species carries the legacy of destruction. The Valnar, the human fleet, even your wars, all came from one event long ago. That your kind has forgotten." The words hit like a knife. Arlen glanced at Rhea, confused. The being continued. "Long before your civilization rose, humans were not weak. You were builders, dreamers, conquerors of galaxies. You touched the forbidden code of life itself. And for that, we sealed your kind away, erased your memory, reset your world." Rhea whispered. "That's impossible." "Is it?" the being asked. "And yet here you are again, reaching into the void you were never meant to touch." The bridge grew colder. The lights dimmed. Outside, the massive structures began to move, rotating slowly. Beams of light connecting them like veins. The hum grew stronger, resonating through every metal plate on the ship. "What are they doing?" Rhea asked, panic rising. The architect looked toward the window. They are waking, preparing to finish what we began. Arlen took a step forward. You're going to destroy us, aren't you? The being's expression didn't change. We will end the infection before it spreads again. Rhea slammed her hand on the console. Humanity isn't an infection. We fight, we build, we survive. The being tilted its head. You destroy, you consume. You burn worlds and call it progress. Arlen's voice was sharp now. If we were so dangerous, why let us exist at all? The architect turned back to him. Because one of us believed you could change. The golden light in its eyes dimmed slightly. The one who saved you was called Solara. She believed in your potential. She hid the coordinates to this place so you could never return. Arlen's heart raced. Then how did we get here? You were guided, the being said, by those who wanted power, the Valnar. Rhea's eyes widened. They wanted to use us. The architect nodded. Yes, they found fragments of your old technology, pieces of what you once were, and they tried to awaken us, but they lacked the key. The key that you now carry. Arlen's stomach turned cold. The key. The being's gaze locked on him. You, Captain Arlen Voss, are the key. The words hung in the air like thunder. Arlen stepped back. What are you talking about? When the nebula's pulse hit your fleet, it reacted to your DNA. You carry the imprint of the original builders. You are the last link between humanity and the architects. The bridge shook violently. Alarms screamed. Outside, the golden structures began to fire energy beams into the void. Tearing open glowing rifts, they're activating something. Rhea shouted. The architect's image flickered. You have forced our awakening too soon. If you wish to save your kind, stop the pulse before the gate opens. Gate? Arlen demanded. To the forge, the being said. The place where stars and weapons were born. If it opens now, it will consume everything near it. Rhea's fingers flew across the console. We can't even move the ship, Captain. We're trapped in their field. Arlen thought fast. There has to be a control source. A central node. The architect's voice grew faint. At the heart of the largest structure, but beware, Solara sleeps there. She will not know who you are. The projection vanished, and the ship's lights flared back to life. Engines hummed weakly. Rhea, Arlen said. Set course for that main structure. She turned to him. If we go there, we might not come back. Arlen looked at the endless machines outside. If we don't, no one will. The Valor moved forward. Engines glowing dimly against the dark as they approached the massive central structure. It began to open like a mechanical flower blooming, revealing a core of blinding light. Rhea whispered, Captain, it's beautiful. Arlen stared, feeling something stir deep inside him. Memories that weren't his own, voices. Cities, a sun that wasn't Earth's. For a moment, he understood. This was not the first time humanity had stood at the edge of extinction, and maybe not the last. The heart of the forge. The Valor drifted closer to the colossal structure, its hull trembling under the energy waves radiating from the glowing core ahead. The closer they got, the more intense the light became. Blinding white mixed with gold, pulsing like a living heart. Captain Arlen Voss stood on the bridge, watching in awe and fear. His crew was silent, each person staring at the impossible sight before them. The vast construct wasn't just metal, it was alive, breathing through lines of energy that ran like veins through its surface. Commander Rhea broke the silence. Captain, readings are off the charts. The core is producing energy beyond anything we've ever seen. Arlen nodded slowly. That's the forge, the place the architect warned us about. She frowned. And we're heading straight into it. The ship's engines hummed weakly as the Valor passed through the outer layer of the structure. The walls around them shimmered like liquid glass, shifting and changing. Every sensor on board flickered with strange patterns, symbols that no one could understand. Rhea adjusted the scanners. I think it's communicating, but not in any human language. Arlen stared at the screen. Maybe not meant for words. As they reached the center, the ship came to a halt, held in place by invisible energy. The light outside dimmed, forming a circular chamber of pure gold. At its center floated a massive sphere, smooth, ancient and pulsing with quiet power. Is that the control node? Rhea whispered. Arlen took a breath. Only one way to find out. He left the bridge and moved toward the airlock. The chamber's light poured through the viewing window. Reflecting off his uniform, Rhea followed. Her face pale but determined, the airlock opened with a hiss, revealing a small docking platform inside the chamber. As they stepped out, the floor beneath their boots shimmered like glass. Each step echoed softly when they reached the floating sphere. It reacted. Light rippled across its surface, and a shape began to form. Slowly, a figure appeared within the glow, a woman. Tall, graceful, with eyes like stars, Arlen froze, recognizing her from the architect's warning. The last stand of the stars, the galaxy was burning. Flames of war spread from one system to another, turning once bright worlds into silent ashes. The coalition of species, 30 alien empires united, was losing against a single enemy. The Dominion, a ruthless machine civilization built for one purpose, total extermination. For 3 years, every fleet that faced the Dominion vanished without a trace. Billions had already fallen. Now the last defense stood at the edge of the Vega sector. Thousands of alien ships formed a desperate wall of light. The airwaves were filled with voices, orders, cries and prayers, all of them waiting for something, anything that could save them. Admiral Kraten of the Vaughn Empire watched the battle map flicker in front of him. His 4 golden eyes narrowed as another cluster of blue icons vanished from the screen. They're gone, his aide whispered. The 5th armada has been destroyed. Kraten gritted his sharp teeth. Then it's over, we can't stop them. From the darkness ahead, the Dominion fleet emerged, thousands of black ships, shaped like blades, glowing red with energy. They moved in perfect silence. Like predators that didn't need to roar, the Admiral stood tall. All ships, prepare for final engagement. If we fall, we fall together. His command echoed through the fleets. Every ship turned toward the advancing enemy, weapons charged, engines flared. The stars themselves seemed to dim under the approaching storm. But deep within the chaos, a sudden alert blinked on Kraten's console. A new contact, small, distant, unknown, another fleet? Asked his aide. No, Kraten said slowly. Just one ship. A single dart moved through the void. Heading straight into the heart of the Dominion lines, the bridge went silent. Identify, Kraten ordered. The sensors hummed, translating the incoming data. When the result appeared, every officer froze. Origin, human. Classification, battleship. Name Invictus. Kraten's mind reeled. The humans had vanished years ago, erased from the galaxy after their own war against the Dominion. Not a single ship had been seen since. Many believed they were extinct. And yet here it was, a single human vessel flying straight into the deadliest fleet in history. Open a channel, Kraten said. His voice trembling, static filled the speakers. Then a calm voice broke through. A voice made of steel and memory. This is Captain Elias Ward of the UHS Invictus. Stand by and maintain distance. The Admiral blinked in disbelief. Human captain, are you insane? You're flying into certain death. Ward's voice didn't change. Admiral, death is already here. I'm just here to remind it who we are. Before Kraten could reply, the transmission ended. The lone human ship kept moving forward. Steady and silent, the Dominion fleet detected it. Thousands of enemy weapons turned toward the Invictus, red lights charging with deadly precision. Rhea, an alien officer beside Kraten, whispered, 1 ship against 10,000. It's suicide. Kraten didn't answer. He couldn't look away. The Invictus moved like a ghost. Its hull blackened, scarred, yet glowing with strange blue symbols. Not human designs. Something new, something ancient. When it reached the center of the Dominion formation, it stopped. And then, every sensor in the Vega sector exploded with readings. Power levels rising far beyond any known limit. Captain Ward, what are you doing? Kraten shouted into the void. There was no answer. Only one final transmission broadcasted across every open channel. To every species still standing, this is humanity's last gift. Remember this day. The Invictus opened its core. The light that came out wasn't fire. It was pure energy. Raw and alive, it expanded faster than thought. Washing over everything, Dominion ships tried to escape, but the wave caught them, tearing through their armor, breaking their networks. The entire enemy armada burned in silence. turning to dust and shadow from the coalition side. Every ship watched in shock, sensors overloaded. Communication lines fell dead. The stars vanished under the growing light. And then, silence. When the light faded, the Dominion fleet was gone, every trace of it erased. Only the empty void remained. The Invictus floated at the center of the destruction. Silent and motionless. Is it over? Rhea asked, her voice trembling. Creighton leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the dark silhouette of the human ship. No one could survive that, he whispered. But then, against all logic, a signal flickered to life. The Invictus still lived, barely, its systems flickering like a dying heartbeat. A final message played through every comm in the sector. The voice of Captain Ward, quiet and resolute. We were never the first to fall. We were the first to rise, remember us. And then, the ship vanished from every scanner. As if it had never been there, the battlefield was empty. The Dominion gone, the humans gone. But in that silence, something changed. The survivors of the Coalition knew the truth now. The humans were not extinct. They had simply been waiting, watching, preparing. And when the galaxy was on its knees, they returned, not as victims, but as legends. The ghost of Invictus, the aftermath of the battle at Vega Sector, became the most mysterious event in galactic history. Millions had witnessed the impossible, the complete destruction of the Dominion fleet by a single human ship. Yet when the light faded, there was nothing left to study, no wreckage, no debris, no trace of what the Invictus had unleashed. Admiral Creighton stood aboard his flagship, the Varn Ascendant, watching the empty space where the Dominion fleet once existed. The stars seemed calm again, but no one trusted the silence. It felt like the galaxy itself was holding its breath. Any signal from the human ship? Creighton asked, his voice sharp. His officer Rhea shook her head slowly. Nothing, sir, no transmissions, no energy signatures. It's like it never existed. Creighton's golden eyes narrowed. Ships don't just vanish. Not something that powerful. The Admiral turned to his council of alien commanders, their faces pale with fear and disbelief. Some whispered that the humans had made a deal with dark powers. Others said they had become something beyond flesh and metal. No one truly knew, but one thing was certain: whatever humanity had become, they had the power to destroy gods. News of the battle spread fast across the stars. Every empire tried to claim credit, each telling a different version of the truth. But deep down, all species shared the same silent question. If one ship could do that, what happens when the rest return? Weeks passed, and the galaxy seemed to settle. Coalition fleets regrouped, Dominion activity ceased. For the first time in decades, there was peace. But it was a fragile peace built on fear, not hope. Rhea sat alone in her quarters, watching the same recording of the battle over and over. The moment the Invictus lit up, the blinding wave of light, the silence afterward, she couldn't stop thinking about the human captain's last words. We were never the first to fall. We were the first to rise. Remember us? Something about it didn't sound like farewell. It sounded like a warning. Then one night, an encrypted signal appeared in the Coalition's central data network. At first it seemed like random static, but Rhea noticed a pattern. Repeating at intervals, 3 short bursts. 2 long, 3 short again. A code, ancient human Morse. She decoded it carefully, letter by letter, until the message appeared in front of her. Only 4 words, but they froze her blood. They are not gone. Rhea ran to Creighton's quarters. Breathless. Admiral, you need to see this. She played the transmission. The Admiral listened, his expression darkening with each second. That came from the Vega sector, he said quietly. From the exact point where the Invictus disappeared. Then the humans are still there, he finished. He stood in silence for a long time, staring at the stars beyond the viewport. Prepare a scout fleet, Creighton ordered finally. We're going back. Within a day, 6 ships departed from Coalition space, moving toward the dead zone that once held the Dominion's might. The closer they got, the stranger things became. Sensors flickered. Navigation systems glitched. Even gravity felt unstable by the time they reached the Vega edge. Every ship was on high alert. The sector was empty but not quiet. Faint distortions rippled through space as if reality itself had scars. Then, one of the ships detected something, a faint metallic signature. Deep inside the nebula, it's the Invictus, Rhea gasped. The readings matched perfectly. The same hull design, same structure. But the energy field around it was strange. Alive. Pulsing like a heartbeat, Creighton ordered the fleet to hold position. Send a drone. The small probe drifted toward the massive shape, its lights cutting through the fog. When the beam finally touched metal, everyone gasped. The Invictus was there, motionless but intact. Its surface covered in glowing blue lines that shifted slowly like veins. It wasn't just a ship anymore, it looked alive. Then the lights on the Invictus flickered. One by one, a voice came through the comm. Distorted but unmistakably human, "This is Captain Ward. If anyone hears this, stay away." The voice broke up. Static filled the channel, then came again, deeper. "The weapon was never meant for this. We didn't win. We just opened the door." "Open the door," Rhea whispered, before anyone could respond. Every ship's system went haywire. Alarms screamed, screens glitched, and strange signals poured through the comm. "Not words, whispers," Creighton shouted. "Pull back! Get us out of here!" But it was too late. The Invictus began to move. Slowly turning toward them, the blue veins brightened, pulsing faster. Then, for just a moment, they saw something reflected in the void behind it. Massive shapes moving in the dark.